We stand at a precipice, do we not? A moment where the air itself seems thick with unspoken influence, with subtle currents that tug at our decisions, our beliefs, our very sense of self. We speak of external manipulation, a phantom that haunts our interactions, a force that promises to bend us to its will. But is it truly so external, this insidious art? Or does it find fertile ground within the uncultivated soil of our own minds, within the shadows we have yet to acknowledge, the vulnerabilities we have allowed to fester? This is the unveiling we embark upon today. Not a simple catalog of tactics to be defended, but a profound excavation into the very architecture of influence. We seek not merely to build walls, but to understand the landscape so intimately that the walls become redundant, rendered obsolete by our own sovereign awareness. The title itself whispers a promise: The Unveiled Truth, 7 Psychological Tactics to Deconstruct External Manipulation. It speaks of hidden knowledge, of truths long obscured by the den of convention, by the comfortable illusions we cling to. Nietzsche, in his relentless pursuit of what lies beneath the veneer of morality and societal expectation, called for a revaluation of all values. He understood that true strength, true freedom, is not found in adherence to external dictates, but in the courage to question, to dismantle, and to rebuild oneself from the bedrock of one's own being. Manipulation thrives in the void where such courage falters, where critical discernment is dulled, and where our internal landscape remains a mystery, a territory ripe for conquest by any who understand its contours. Our journey will not be one of fear, but of liberation. To understand the tactics of manipulation is to disarm them. It is to reclaim the sovereign territory of your own mind. It is to cultivate a radical independence that is not born of arrogance, but of profound self-knowledge. This is the essence of self-overcoming, of forging an unshakable inner strength that renders the subtle poisons of influence inert. We will delve into the mechanisms, the psychological levers that are pulled, not to expose them for the sake of expose, but to illuminate the path toward your own authentic power. Consider this an invitation, an opening to a deeper understanding, an understanding that begins with questioning the very premise of external control. For in confronting the invisible chains that seek to bind us, we often find that the most potent locks are those we have, perhaps unknowingly, fastened ourselves. Our exploration will equip you with the intellectual and psychological tools to dismantle these tactics, to see through the artifice, and to stand firm, not in defiance, but in the quiet, unshakable certainty of your own sovereign self. What, then, is this external force if not a reflection, a distortion of something within us yearning for light? We begin our unveiling by confronting the first insidious strategy, the gaslighting mirage, shattering illusions of reality. This tactic undermines your very trust in yourself, in your perception of what is real. The manipulator distorts your memory, twists your experiences, making you doubt what you know to be true. They will insist that what you saw did not happen, that what you heard was a misunderstanding, that your feelings are misplaced. It is a subtle erosion designed to leave you adrift, dependent on their version of truth. Our defense lies in Nietzsche's perspectivism. This is not an endorsement of chaos, but the understanding that reality is not singular. Your perspective, shaped by your lived experience, is inherently valid. When you recognize that multiple interpretations can exist, you gain the power to identify when a perspective is being weaponized to negate your own truth. This understanding renders you immune to the mirage of manufactured doubt, the veil of authority, undermining unexamined obedience. Our natural inclination to seek guidance, to follow tradition, can be exploited. This tactic invokes external authority, whether it be a perceived expert, societal norms, or historical precedent, to silence questions and demand compliance. It plays on our fear of being outside the group, of defying the established order. Nietzsche's critique of herd morality is vital here. He saw how unthinking obedience could stifle individual growth, how external dictates could replace personal judgment. The spirit of the Übermensch lies in the courage to question all authority, to scrutinize its origins and intentions. Does it serve your becoming, or does it seek to contain you? This internal sovereignty is the antidote to manipulation cloaked in authority. Emotional blackmail as moral duty, reclaiming ethical autonomy. This strategy weaponizes guilt and obligation. You are made to feel responsible for another's emotions or well-being, often in an exaggerated or unwarranted way. Fulfilling their demands becomes a perceived moral duty, a test of your character. Nietzsche's genealogy of morals illuminates how such perceived duties can mask resentment and control. True ethical power is not derived from external coercion or the fear of guilt. It stems from values you have consciously chosen and affirmed. Understanding that your moral compass is your own to calibrate allows you to recognize emotional blackmail for what it is, a manipulative ploy to reclaim your ethical autonomy. The Fear of Scarcity Gambit, confronting existential insecurity. This tactic preys on primal anxieties, fear of lack, be it of resources, love, or belonging. Manipulators create a sense of impending deprivation to make you desperate, to compel you to grasp at any offered solution. They foster insecurity, urging you to conform or act immediately, lest you be left wanting. Nietzsche's amor fati, the active embrace of destiny, offers profound defense. It is not passive resignation, but a courageous affirmation of all that is, including its challenges. By accepting the possibility of scarcity, by understanding that your worth is not tied to external abundance, you neutralize this leverage. True resilience is found in finding meaning within circumstances, not solely in their perceived abundance. The love-bombing trap, distinguishing authentic connection from control. This involves an overwhelming influx of affection and attention, creating a rapid sense of dependency. It feels intoxicating, but it is often a strategic exertion of influence, designed to bind you emotionally. Nietzsche's will to power, understood as the drive for growth and self-mastery, is key here. Authentic connection fosters mutual respect and individual freedom. Love bombing, however, aims for control, creating an entanglement that makes it difficult to assert your needs or leave. True power strengthens and elevates. It does not bind. Cultivating your own inner strength allows you to discern genuine affection from manipulative control, recognizing that authentic connection fosters freedom, not entanglement. We press onward, unveiling the final tactics that seek to ensnare us, the propaganda loop, escaping the echo chamber of influence. This tactic relies on relentless repetition. Messages are drilled into consciousness, not through reasoned argument, but to bypass critical thought. An echo chamber forms, amplifying a single narrative and silencing all others. Nietzsche understood the peril of unexamined beliefs, the void of nihilism when external certainties crumble. His path to overcoming it was through the active creation of meaning. To break these manipulative narratives, we must consciously seek diverse viewpoints, question the source of the message, and forge our own understanding, rather than passively absorbing what is fed to us. The shifting goalposts, navigating ambiguity and indecision. Imagine pursuing a target that perpetually moves. This tactic creates constant instability. Expectations change, rules are rewritten, and demands shift without warning, leaving the target perpetually off balance, striving for an elusive goal. This induces a sense of inadequacy and confusion. Nietzsche challenged the notion of fixed truths, embracing a dynamic reality. Manipulators exploit this flux by creating artificial instability. Recognizing this manufactured chaos allows for grounded resilience. You can observe these shifting goalposts as a strategy to maintain control through induced confusion rather than a reflection of genuine change. The Nietzschean framework for resilience, amor fati, in the face of deception. Our encounters with manipulation, however painful, are part of our journey. Amor fati, the active embrace of destiny, offers profound defense. It is the courage to affirm the totality of one's experience, including the shadows and deceptions. By embracing these moments not as misfortunes but as formative elements, you transform adversity. This is not passive acceptance, but an active affirmation that turns the sting of manipulation into a catalyst for inner strength, a core tenet of self-overcoming. The psychology of will to power as defense, cultivating internal authority. True defense is proactive self-mastery. The will to power, in its deepest sense, is directed inward, the drive for self-creation and the assertion of one's own values. When your internal authority is robust, rooted in authentic conviction, external manipulation attempts become insignificant. They lack the purchase to take hold. Cultivating this internal sovereignty means understanding your own motivations, values, and strengths, rendering you less susceptible to the designs of others. Consider now a symbolic exercise. Imagine entering a labyrinth. Each turn represents a manipulative tactic we have unveiled. The walls of this labyrinth are illusions built from fear and deception. The unveiled truth, the path to freedom, lies not in external exit but within you. It is the internalization of self-awareness, critical thought, and authentic values. These are the tools that allow you to see the walls for what they are, constructs that dissolve upon recognition. The way out of the labyrinth is the awakening of your own sovereign mind. Let us now dissect each tactic, understanding its mechanism to dismantle its power. Deconstructing Tactic 1. The Gaslighting Mirage, the erosion of self-trust. Gaslighting is a subtle yet devastating assault on your inner reality. It is the insidious process of making you doubt your own perceptions, your memory, your sanity. The manipulator systematically distorts your experiences, denying what you know to be true, creating a fog of uncertainty that makes you question your own judgment. Nietzsche, in his exploration of truth, challenged the idea of a singular objective reality. He proposed that reality is perceived through multiple lenses, multiple perspectives. This understanding becomes our shield. While manipulators exploit subjective interpretation to their advantage, a strong sense of self-authorship cultivated through honest introspection serves as an unshakable anchor. By recognizing the validity of your own perspective, you become resistant to the erosion of self-trust that gaslighting seeks to inflict. Deconstructing Tactic 2. The Veil of Authority, the tyranny of unquestioned command. This tactic gains traction by invoking authority, be it institutional, traditional, or charismatic, to demand unquestioning obedience. It silences critical thought by appealing to a presumed higher power or established order. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch offers a profound counterpoint. This ideal represents the individual who transcends conventional moral authorities, the one who has the courage not to simply obey, but to create their own values and standards. By developing this internal locus of authority, you immunize yourself against the psychological pull of external decree. You learn to discern legitimate guidance from manipulative control that hides behind a facade of power. Deconstructing Tactic 3. Emotional blackmail as moral duty, the burden of unearned guilt. Here, manipulators weaponize guilt and obligation, often cloaking them in the guise of moral imperatives. You are made to feel responsible for another's distress or expectations, creating a sense of unearned duty. Nietzsche's analysis of resentment in master-slave morality is illuminating. He showed how those in a subordinate position can create virtues that condemn those perceived as their oppressors. True ethical strength, however, is not found in imposed duty or the fear of guilt. It resides in self-defined responsibility stability in values that are consciously chosen and affirmed, not dictated by the emotional demands of another. Deconstructing Tactic 4. The Fear of Scarcity Gambit. The illusion of insufficient resources. This tactic preys on our deepest existential anxieties. The fear of lack, be it of material possessions, love, or opportunity. Manipulators create an illusion of scarcity to foster desperation, making you susceptible to their offers. Our embrace of amor fati, the love of fate, becomes a potent defense. By confronting potential scarcity not as a personal threat, but as an inevitable aspect of existence, you dissolve the manipulator's leverage. True security is not found in the accumulation of external resources, but in the inner resilience to face life's inherent uncertainties with courage and affirmation. Deconstructing Tactic 5. The Love-Bombing Trap. The Illusion of Unconditional Acceptance. This strategy involves an overwhelming influx of affection, attention, and validation designed to create rapid dependency. It masquerades as unconditional acceptance, but conceals a drive for possession and control. Through the lens of Nietzsche's will to power, understood as the drive for self-affirmation and growth, we see the contrast. True power fosters mutual respect and autonomy, allowing individuals to flourish independently. Love bombing, conversely, represents a suffocating entanglement, a strategic exertion of influence that seeks to diminish rather than elevate. By recognizing this illusion, you preserve your own capacity for authentic connection and self-mastery. We continue our dissection, dismantling the remaining tactics and forging a path toward genuine independence. The propaganda loop, the prison of echoed beliefs. This tactic relies on relentless repetition of simplified messages designed to bypass critical thought and embed itself within our consciousness. It creates an echo chamber, a closed system where dissenting views are silenced and the manipulated narrative becomes the only perceived reality. Nietzsche understood the peril of unexamined beliefs, the void of nihilism when external certainties crumble. His path to overcoming it was through the active creation of meaning. To break these manipulative narratives, we must consciously seek diverse viewpoints, question the source of the message, and forge our own understanding rather than passively absorbing what is fed to us. The shifting goalposts, the chaos of unstable terms. Imagine pursuing a target that perpetually moves. This tactic creates constant instability. Expectations change, rules are rewritten, and demands shift without warning, leaving the target perpetually off balance, striving for an elusive goal. This induces a sense of inadequacy and confusion. Nietzsche challenged the notion of fixed truths, embracing a dynamic reality. Manipulators exploit this flux by creating artificial instability. Recognizing this manufactured chaos allows for grounded resilience. You can observe these shifting goalposts as a strategy to maintain control through induced confusion, rather than a reflection of genuine change. The Nietzschean imperative, from victimhood to victorious self-authorship. Having examined these various tactics, we arrive at a pivotal synthesis. This journey is not merely about learning to defend against external manipulation. It is about cultivating an inner sovereignty so profound that such attempts become irrelevant. This is the heart of Nietzsche's vision, the individual who transcends victimhood, who embraces the challenges of existence not as burdens, but as opportunities for growth and self-creation. It is the imperative to become the author of one's own life, to live by values forged in the crucible of self-examination, rather than by the dictates of external forces. This is the essence of victorious self-authorship, practical philosophy, integrating will to power for intellectual independence. To translate these profound philosophical insights into tangible change, we must engage with the concept of the will to power, not as a force of domination, but as the fundamental drive for self-creation, for growth, and for mastery over oneself. Understanding this innate drive allows for the conscious rejection of external narratives that seek to diminish or redirect it. It means actively choosing to assert your own intellectual independence, to question assumptions, and to pursue your own understanding, thereby bolstering your internal authority and making you impervious to those who would seek to control your thoughts and actions. The mirror of self-deception, a Nietzschean parable. Consider a man who gazes into a distorted mirror, utterly convinced that the warped reflection before him is the genuine reality. The manipulator, in essence, holds this mirror. The unveiled truth, the path to liberation, is not found in attempting to shatter the mirror itself, where its distortions are often too deeply ingrained in the user. Instead, true freedom comes from recognizing the nature of the distortion, understanding how the reflection has been warped, and then, crucially, turning away from the mirror to face oneself directly, unmediated by external falsehoods or manufactured realities. This direct confrontation with one's own authentic self is the ultimate act of defiance against manipulation. We have journeyed through the landscape of manipulation, and now we bring together these unveiled truths for a final, profound synthesis. Tactical Deconstruction 1 and 2, The Mirage of Gaslighting and the Tyranny of Authority. We've seen how manipulators can erode self-trust by distorting your reality, and how they exploit our natural inclination to obey, creating that tyranny of unexamined command. Nietzsche's critique of herd morality reminds us that true strength lies not in blind obedience, but in independent judgment. His concept of perspectivism empowers you to recognize that your perspective is valid, a shield against subjective distortions. By questioning authority and embracing your own viewpoint, you cultivate the intellectual independence that renders these tactics powerless. Tactical Deconstruction 3 and 4, Emotional Blackmail and the Fear of Scarcity. We have delved into how guilt and existential insecurity are weaponized, turning our own emotions against us. Manipulators prey on our fear of lack, of not being good enough, of being left alone. Here, Nietzsche's philosophy of amor fati, the love of fate, offers a radical path. By learning to embrace the inherent challenges and uncertainties of existence, not as threats, but as integral parts of life, you neutralize the power of fear-based manipulation. This allows you to reclaim your ethical autonomy, understanding that your worth is not contingent on external validation or the avoidance of discomfort. Tactical Deconstruction 5 and 6, Love Bombing and the Propaganda Loop. We have exposed how excessive affection can create a suffocating dependency, and how repetitive, simplified messaging can entrench beliefs, bypassing critical reasoning. Nietzsche's emphasis on the will to power as a drive for self-affirmation and the active creation of meaning provides a crucial framework. True connection is built on respect and autonomy, not possession. Similarly, resisting propaganda requires actively seeking diverse perspectives and constructing your own worldview, rather than passively absorbing narratives designed to control. Tactical Deconstruction 7, The Shifting Goalposts, Navigating Instability with Inner Grounding. This final tactic exploits ambiguity, constantly altering expectations to keep you off balance. We draw upon Nietzsche's understanding of life as a dynamic, ever-changing process, a flux of becoming. Manipulators exploit this natural dynamism by creating artificial instability. However, a grounded self, one that embraces the inherent unpredictability of existence with equanimity, can navigate this chaos. By understanding that the instability is manufactured, you can remain anchored, refusing to be drawn into the manipulator's game. The architect of self, building an unassailable inner citadel. We have now deconstructed the 7 primary tactics of external manipulation. This knowledge is not merely for defense. It is for the profound act of self-creation. It is about constructing an internal framework, a fortress of values, critical thinking, and unwavering self-awareness that renders external attempts at manipulation impotent. This is the essence of the Übermensch, not as a biological evolution, but as a psychological and spiritual ascent. It is the individual who has mastered themselves, who has become the architect of their own destiny, living by their own affirmed values, and standing unshakable in the face of any external force. This is the ultimate unveiled truth. The power to deconstruct manipulation lies within your own sovereign self. We stand at the threshold, the veils lifted, the intricate dance of manipulation laid bare before us. Over our journey, we have confronted 7 distinct psychological tactics: the mirage of gaslighting that erodes self-trust, the veiled authority that demands unquestioning obedience, the insidious sting of emotional blackmail disguised as moral duty, the gnawing fear of scarcity that paralyzes our will, the intoxicating trap of love bombing that breeds dependency, the relentless echo of propaganda that silences critical thought, and the disorienting chaos of shifting goalposts. For each of these, we have not sought mere defense, but a profound deconstruction. Armed with the timeless wisdom of Nietzsche, we employed his concept of perspectivism to dismantle the illusions of objective truth that gaslighting exploits. Recognizing the validity of our own lived experience, we challenged the tyranny of unquestioned command by invoking the spirit of the Übermensch, the individual who creates their own values and transcends blind obedience to herd morality. We unearthed the roots of emotional blackmail and the dynamics of resentment, affirming that true ethical strength blossoms from self-defined responsibility, not imposed guilt. We confronted the fear of scarcity with the courageous embrace of amor fati, learning to affirm existence in its entirety, thereby neutralizing the power of fear. We distinguished authentic connection from the strategic entanglement of love bombing by understanding the will to power as a drive for self-affirmation, not possession. We broke free from the propaganda loop through the active creation of meaning, seeking diverse perspectives to forge our own worldview, and we navigated the chaos of unstable terms by embracing life's inherent flux, grounding ourselves in self-authorship rather than reactive adaptation. The unveiling is complete. External manipulation, we now understand, is not an insurmountable force of nature, but a predictable pattern of behavior that exploits internal vulnerabilities, the unexamined beliefs, the unacknowledged fears, the underdeveloped critical faculties. Today, we have equipped you not with a shield, but with a lens, the philosophical and psychological insight to perceive these patterns with clarity, to see through the artifice. The true victory, as Jung might suggest, through the process of individuation, lies not in eradicating external influences, but in integrating them into the unique tapestry of your own path. It is in transforming the external into the internal fuel for self-overcoming. The journey from being a target of manipulation, swayed by external forces, to becoming the architect of your own reality is the ultimate expression of radical independence and authentic personal power. It is the embodiment of Nietzsche's profound imperative: become who you are. This ongoing process of self-discovery, of self-creation, is the most potent antidote to the shadow of manipulation, paving the way for profound self-mastery. The dawn of this self-mastery is not an end, but a beginning, a testament to your unshakable inner strength.